And speaking, I guess, speaking of video game ownership, I was going to go into something else as kind of a first topic, but I thought this was interesting when I caught this on X, thanks to the account Does It Play, which is the account that kind of, as described, working to ensure games and hardware remain accessible now and always testing commercial releases offline. So they're a good account to follow if you are wanting to make sure and know what games are like fully playable offline, don't require downloads and stuff like that. There is this that kind of popped up. This Nintendo Life account came in with this latest physical sales data proves the format is in fact dying. So we've got those this is gonna be the thing. We're gonna see plenty of these counter narratives that physical media sales are dying, but it is like, it's from, as old Ben Kenobi said, from a certain point of view, because yes, you can see certain things dying in certain regards, but it just might be also, there's gonna be a lot of factors to it, especially right now. Money's tight for a lot of people. Not a whole lot of spending is going on for a lot of people. And now that especially like you see this full push for digital, it's interesting. But the funny thing is though, like, and this is just me like speaking from this personal experience. I work retail, and I'm usually, my area is like, I'm part of our electronics area and our entertainment area. And I mean, even though like we removed, unfortunately, our whole DVD Blu-ray area, I've still had plenty of people either call our store or come in looking for Blu-rays and DVDs. I mean, there's still plenty of people that are trying to still find physical media. And if you don't supply it, then you can't get, sales numbers. But then the funny thing is that, I mean, we still have like our dedicated section for vinyl and CDs. But I mean, like, the funny thing is vinyl is a thing that has made a weird return that sells. People are always going for it. And I mean, right now, I think for CDs, the big thing too is like this, the damn K-pop shit. Every like Friday when that stuff drops, I have people coming in. Look, I have certain repeat customers and everything, but it's wild. And I mean, we've still maintained our book section. People are still wanting to get physical copies of books. Like, yeah, I know initially it was the Amazon Kindle and stuff like that. They really hit hard on physical books and stuff like that, but like that's been a big our store company like put a push for books and stuff like that. So, and it proved to be rather successful. I mean, I can't think of how often I've had to restock our books. So it's a thing that, people are still trying to get physical media, and I can only wonder what this is going to be going into. And let's check out this article first, and then I'll jump into that the community notes, because they got noted, because like I said, there's gonna be counter stuff to all of this, and this is over on Nintendo Life here. And this is going off of like it is, yeah, probably off of just some of the Nintendo sales. But again, you gotta take it. There's probably things that aren't being accounted for, I'm willing to bet. Like mom and pop video game stores that do the resells and stuff like that. I would imagine that they aren't necessarily getting those sale numbers to account for everything. So it says here, when Sony recently announced it would be ending production of the physical media for the PS5, presumably the PS6, from January 2028, the gaming community was quite rightly up in arms. Yet despite the ongoing backlash, the actual data indicating how poorly physical media sells these days doesn't lie. And this is like why I don't always go off of metrics and data and sales and crap like that, is that like it is, they can be very very easily manipulated into the narrative they are wanting to tell, how they get their focus groups or how they get their sample numbers and stuff like that, and then they can, you know, push the things in the direction in particular that they want to, how they want to describe things. So says, and it's looking grim indeed, according to Matt Piscatella from Circana. Just two PS5 games sold more than 10,000 copies in the US during the week ending 11th July 2026. In addition, only 7 have sold more than 100,000 physical copies year to date. You might be thinking, but that's PlayStation. Nintendo sells way more physical games. And yes, you'd probably be right, but in follow-up post, Christopher Dring, who runs the game business, notes that just 1,000 physical sales would have netted the number 9 spot in the last week's UK sales charts. And as for it's a Blue Sky post. Things are kind of suddenly running a little slow for me. Ow! Chugging! Wanted to chug. Ow! That's what I get for wanting to show the goddamn post. Why did I do it? Okay, we're normal again. But yeah, here, so was quote posting, tweeting, whatever. 2 PlayStation video games sold more. Okay, that's what they just talked about. Now, which game was at number 10 last week? Yes, Star Fox, and Pokemon Legends ZA was at number 9, with sales split between Switch 2 and Switch 60% and 40% respectively. So Star Fox, less than a month from its launch on 25th of June, sold 1,000 copies or less physically during week ending 18th of July. That's insane. This writer remembers just a little more than a decade ago, a single game store would shift upwards of 100 units of a recently released title in just one day. 1,000 sales across the entire region in a week is dire, and this is probably why we've not heard anything from Sony. As much as fans want to protest, it seems highly unlikely the company will backtrack from its decision to ditch physical media. The sales just aren't there anymore. Our personal preference would be to simply downscale the production of physical media to meet the remaining demand. There are many folks out there who simply won't entertain the idea of buying digital, and it seems a damn shame just to ignore their needs entirely. Movies and music have proven that physical media still has a place in modern society. Why should games be any different? So this is kind of trying to play a bit of that goofy balancing act there. Yeah, exactly, Hassan. The data shows that since we stopped making physical games, physical game sales has declined. What a weird correlation there. But yeah, and the interesting thing too, and why I brought this up too, is how Does It Play mentions, meanwhile, a game in Japan alone sold over 500,000 copies in 2 weeks. Spain is reporting great numbers for physical sales. CD sales in the US are up 16%. Sony's profits for physical increased in 2025, and Circana's own data shows growth in user spending on physical media. Do better. So that's where also this community note comes into play. We have Circana reports US physical game spending rose 3% year over year to 1.6 billion for the 12 months ending May 2026. First increase in 2009, driven by Nintendo Switch 2. Rhythm Heaven Groove sold 393,378 physical copies in its first week in Japan, per Famitsu. So that is the thing. It's like they're only looking at a portion of the US market, and like I said, that's where things can get very goofy when they are trying to, bring out sales numbers and data and all this sort of data and crap like that. Like I said, a lot of it can be very easily kind of skewed and manipulated in different ways. So we can even kind of take a look at this really quick. GameIndustry.biz. Circana, Nintendo Switch 2 helped U.S. physical game spending increase year on year for the first time since 2009. It was just a 3% rise year on year. And senior director Matt Piscatella emphasizes that this is likely a temporary blip for box sales. Possibly, but I mean, if you provide, and that's kind of the main focus, people will go to where they need to go for buying their games. I mean, it's not difficult to see how they are wanting to manipulate the perception and wanting to push things in a particular direction. Nintendo Switch 2 helped use physical games spending is his first year on year. That's according to a post from Mark. Okay, so this is gonna be kind of, seems like retreading what we just talked about. Piscatella said the broad decline in physical sales is due to the overwhelming majority of sales being digital, while secondhand doesn't really matter. See that? Okay, that's just it. They're not including those that market, so they're automatically discount. Why do I feel like I've already read this? Did I go over this last week? I almost feel like I did, because I just had a sudden sense of deja vu. Crap. Now hang on. I'm gonna check my notes really quick here. Hang on. Now I'm like, wait, I almost feel like I saw this. No. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. I just feel like this. I already looked at this or something. Weird. Anyways. Sorry about that. Speaking to GameIndustry.biz, Piscatella said that there was one very simple reason for this year-on-year. Quote, this is the Switch 2 bump. He said physical software sales on Nintendo platforms are up around 26% compared to a year ago, but still down from the year ending May 2024 period. Piscatella emphasized that this is highly likely to be just a temporary blip. All other ecosystems are continuing to drop by double-digit percentages. He continued, very likely to be temporary blip. At some point, this will all bottom out. Perhaps we're getting there now, but that's just through, the manipulation of the market itself. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not from people not wanting to buy things. If you're cutting off access from one thing to another, sure, yeah, you're gonna start seeing an increase in one side or the other. People still want to play their games, but also, like I said, certain declines and everything, like, gas keeps fluctuating up and down, food prices keep doing the same thing along with it, just because of transportation stuff. So it's like people are weighing things a little bit more, and if sales are down in a particular way, sure, they may not be going out and getting those games and music or whatever. And also, yeah, if you're providing like summer sales and stuff like that right now, some decent ones, and sometimes some people don't wait for decent ones. People just go for like the littlest even percentage, and it's like, oh, sure. But it's see, in a separate post on Blue Sky yesterday, Piscatella noted that 30 video games have sold over 1,000 copies of Code in the Box physical games so far in 2026, including Just Dance, Split Fiction, and Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So this is the thing that like I said, with working at my retail store, we used to carry the Rabbids games, both of them. That was the physical game. But then a time after that, it became the Code in Box version that was the only thing that we had available. So again, manipulation of the market and stuff like that. Like, if that's the only thing that they're providing and people like want to shop at their local stores and support their local stores, and they just kind of see this like, well, I've gotten or if they don't, and then like some people that sometimes just don't know better and are just trying to get the game for, like, say their kids or something like that, maybe for themselves or for themselves, and they're at the store, they see it, they're like, yeah, screw it, I'll grab it. And sometimes they might not notice that it is a Code in a Box and just go for it. So this followed news that Grand Theft Auto 6 would be download only when it launches November 20th, and that physical copies would simply be a Code in a Box. Not surprising. Not surprising for me. Nintendo Switch 2 launched in June 2025. Globally, as March 2026 has shifted 19.86 million consoles in the United States, Hardware broke records, selling over 1.1 million units in its first week on sale. In May, it was reported that Nintendo was planning a 20% increase in production on the Switch 2 to keep up with demand. So, I mean, that right there, they were increasing the hardware side for the system itself, which, I mean, if they increased it for the games themselves, you'd possibly see an uptick. If that was certainly the main thing you're providing. And I mean, last I also knew that Pokepia game was really popular. I know my store was selling out of it as soon as we got it in sometimes. So are those being also factored for a lot of this? I don't believe that was a code in the box. So, you know, it's getting really weird, getting and everything, but you know, that this is the push they want to go for. They are wanting this as much as possible for full-on digital. But all I can say is, you know, do keep the pressure going. There's other markets, and let me see that. And yeah, like I've said, go to your local game shops, little mom and pop shops, get your video games there. And you know, I'm sure it could, if they actually. And good morning to you, Static, saying Pokemon is gay. Yes, it may be, but Pokemon sells. So that's the other half of that one, is that the Pokemon being what it is, it does sell, and that's the main point to that. So yeah, I mean, if it's in it one way or another, you know, because I mean, the funny, at my store again, our PlayStation section has completely shrunk, and Xbox is just basically the hardware at this point. I don't even think we have the games anymore, and haven't for a while. We just have the digital cards. So you know, in our floor plans and stuff, yeah, we're adding to that push for digital, and I'm sure that's a request by Microsoft to do so, or Xbox, however you want to look at it. And you know, that's the push. They are all pushing towards digital storefronts. They want more direct access, and then more access to be able to control and manipulate your games how they see fit. Hassan, my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. I should have a clip of that guy saying that. And hey, Real Wade Nation Gaming, how's it going? Hassan says, data manipulation? No, never. How absurd. That never happens. Static says, people who buy Pokemon every time should be treated like those who buy NBA 2K every year, or people that buy Madden every year, or, you know, I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. Shunned from society unless they are willing to enter the camps. Ooh, Attic, what do you mean there by camps? Oh God, oh no. But yeah, that's I just thought that was really interesting. That this just came across my feed and everything, and you know, we got to keep up the discussion of physical media. It's important, and while you know, maybe it's not necessarily the thing you want to go for, I get that. Having the ease and availability of digital is quite the thing. If you are going to try and do it smart, like I've been trying to shift more of my focus towards GOG, and you know, try and keep that as at least one avenue. And yeah, go for old hardware, go for the old games if you can find them, buy them, have them as a backup plan. I mean, the thing is, like, all of your electronics, no matter what it is, has the possibility of failure, whether it's your hard drives or your video game console cartridges or discs. Everything has a shelf life, but the best thing that you could do at least is, you know, maintain, protect, and do what you can. So yeah, that's that little bitty of news there. And like I said, that just kind of came across my timeline. I'm like, yeah, it's getting wacky tobacky out there. Static saying, have you seen all those videos of people hacking shit together to make physical games for PC? Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I believe I have bookmarked some of those. Let's see. So you know, just kind of we'll kind of continue this a little bit more, because I was gonna move on, but you know, kind of continuing the whole physical digital landscape. I had another one where I had this tweet from Pirate Nation, who said former Valve writer Chet Falizek says there's no conspiracy behind PlayStation's move away from physical games. In his view, the industry is simply following what most players have already chosen, buying games digitally. Falizek argued that consumers ultimately decide how companies operate. You, the consumer, have made your choice. The choice is for digital. He also pointed out that while many people online are upset about Sony ending physical sales data have shown for years, digital purchases have massively overtaken physical copies via Games Radar. So that bit, we're kind of retreading some ground there. We've already kind of talked about that. Yes, I would say the normie majority will go digital because of ease of convenience and stuff like that. It's why like Netflix took off the way it did. The ease of just ordering something online, getting it shipped to you, and then you know you had a week or whatever to then just throw it back in the mail. And then Netflix evolved to a streaming service. Again, an ease of convenience. But you know, I think slowly but surely people are starting to, there are people out there that are kind of going, wait a minute, I'm not controlling the content of which I want to watch and consume. So that's where, you know, people will start going towards like physical media of like TV shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree that the push it has been more for digital. Like I said, ease of convenience. But you can't also overrule and ignore the people that do want physical media, because it does provide. And hello, Mike C. the Scout. How are you this morning? Says never saw the appeal of digital anything. Buying a physical game or book, the store employees can't come to my home and take them back. Absolutely. Like I said, that's where, like, if people do go digital, do it smart. And right now, one of the best tracks currently and in their present form, there's always room that things could change, but GOG.com is at least a place you can buy your digital games, keep your digital games how you want and in the form you want, because they'll usually provide the update lists and stuff like that.
Thank you for watching this clip from Respawn Roast Cantina. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see, and check out the full episode.